Hi and welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn to ask what and who questions, and this will be the beginning of our really conversing in Greek. We've already learned how to ask someone's name, and so we've already seen how basic questions can work. We have to use the interrogative pronoun, T. It's a pronoun because it stands in place of a nominal. It's interrogative because we use it for asking questions, for interrogating. English has two interrogative pronouns, what or who. Greek has two forms as well, and it depends on gender which one you use. The important thing is that the form of the interrogative pronoun that you use agrees in gender and number with the nominal you're asking about. So the masculine and feminine form is tis. And so, since tis is a third declension pronoun, the masculine and feminine forms are the same. The neuter is ti, and it's that neuter form that we used when we were asking about names, because the word onoma is neuter in gender. So when we asked about onoma, we had to use the neuter pronoun ti. But if we're asking about a huios, a son, which is masculine, we have to use the masculine form, tis ho huios. Who is the son? If we're using the neuter pais and asking about a child, we have to use the neuter form ti to pais. Who is the child? And if we're using the feminine noun meter and asking about a woman, we have to say tis he meter. Who is the woman? And there, again, since the masculine and feminine forms are the same, we use tis. One of the gotchas with the interrogative pronoun, as I alluded to before, is the fact that the accent is absolutely necessary. Tis, with the accent, means what or who, and it's the interrogative pronoun. Tis without the accent means something or someone, and it's an indefinite pronoun. It doesn't necessarily ask a question. It can also be a little bit tricky to type the acute accent for tis or t. And as I said in a previous video, it's usually typed with a dead key, like breathing marks are. So you usually type the semicolon key followed by the I key, and that'll give you the iota with the acute accent. Or on some operating systems, you have to press colon, or the semicolon key with shift, plus then typing the I key. There's another kind of gotcha when we're dealing with the interrogative pronoun in Greek. This is the problem that the Greek forms tis and ti, and the distinction between those two forms, doesn't really match up very well with the distinction between the English pronouns what and who. In English, the distinction is about whether the thing we're asking about is personal or impersonal. If it's an inanimate object, we say what. If it's a person, we say who. But that's not the same difference that we see between tis and ti in Greek. Either tis or ti can mean what. It can be used in a situation to ask a kind of question that in English we would ask using what. And that's because inanimate objects have gender in Greek. So since ho oikos, the house, is masculine, we have to use the masculine form of the interrogative pronoun. Tis hosu oikos, which is your house. Similarly, we have to say tis synagoge. What is a synagogue? Why? Because synagoge is feminine grammatically, and so we have to use the feminine form of the interrogative pronoun, tis. But when we're asking about people, we sometimes will use ti as well. So if we're asking about a child, we might say ti su ta teknon. Who is your child? We're not asking what is your child just because we're using T. We're using T because we have to make the interrogative pronoun agree in gender with the gender of the thing we're asking about. And the thing we're asking about is ta teknon, and teknon is grammatically neuter. But then we can ask about masculine and feminine people, or we can ask about people using masculine and feminine nouns using tis. So tis he su thugeter, who is your sister? Tis ha pater su, who is your father? The point here is that some words for people are neuter, just as some words for inanimate objects are masculine or feminine. And so the pronoun should agree not with the nature of the thing you're asking about in reality, but should agree with the grammatical gender of the nominal you're asking about. Still, each of these, T and tis, has a default. So if it's not clear what you're asking about, if you don't state a particular nominal in your question, then T generally will be used for impersonal objects, what, and tis will generally be used for persons, who. So if I say just tis hutos, who is this? Tis there is implying I'm asking about a person. But if I say ti tuta, I'm saying, what is this? And the neuter grammar, neuter gender of T there, along with the neuter gender of the demonstrative pronoun, is implying that I'm asking about an inanimate object. Why does this change? Well, simply because it's not clear what we're asking about. And so all other things being equal, if it's not clear what we're asking about, then we use the neuter gender for inanimate objects and the masculine-feminine form for people. Word order in questions is flexible just like word order is everywhere else in Greek. The interrogative pronoun can really come anywhere in the sentence. So I can ask, tis ha su adelphos, or ha adelphos su tis, or su tis ha adelphos, or even ha adelphos tis su. And each of those sentences means the same thing. Who is your brother? One thing to notice here is that tis is always in a verbless clause going to be the predicate complement. The subject is the thing you're asking about. And what you're asking about is how that subject exists, or what mode of existence it has, or what is something else crucial to know about the existence of that subject. Another thing to notice here is the one place where tis can't come, and that is between the article and its nominal. So I wouldn't be able to say su ha tis adelphos. Why? Because anything that comes between the definite article and its nominal, between ha and adelphos in this case, anything that comes between them has to be a direct modifier of that nominal. Tis isn't a modifier of the nominal. Tis is the predicate complement, so it can't go in there. But it can go pretty well anywhere else in the sentence. Sometimes tis or t can also act like an adjective. It's still a pronoun, but in these cases there's an explicit complement in the verbless clause, and tis modifies that complement and is translated usually with which. So if I say tis aner ha su pater, I'm asking which man is your father. You can learn more about the interrogative pronoun and asking questions in Mounce's Basics of Biblical Greek, and for the 3rd edition I've given you the section and page numbers. Notice here that Mounce introduces all the case forms of tis together. Well, we're just starting with the nominative. Don't worry yet about the other cases. We'll get to them over the next few sets of badges.